Canada is still occupied. Caledonia, Ontario. Native bullies, anarchist thugs, yes. Gary McHale is the hero of the situation, really. And he has a story about a new group the Caledonia occupiers are blaming, but before that, there's much more to discuss. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well.
Good. Now, first of all, I want to show people a video here because it's not easy being, well, I wasn't going to say it's not easy being a cop. Actually, most of the time, frankly, it is pretty easy being a cop, and they're well paid. And we know in Toronto, ordinary constables can be earning, with a bit of overtime, $120,000, $140,000 a year. What you're going to see now, this is not the way civilized, law-abiding people should be treated by the police. Let's have a look at that now, please.
What's your badge number, sir?
9763.
Thank you. Excuse me. What's your badge number, sir?
10720.
Thank you. Oh, you're wearing it. 11039? Yep. Thank you. What's your badge number, sir?
Constable Mike Silverta, badge 11895.
Thank you very much. You, sir? 7716. Thank you very much. Excuse me. What's your badge number, sir?
I'll give it to you. You back up, or I'm going to have you removed.
You
back up
here. I need to get their badge numbers.
Yes. You back up, or you're going to be removed.
So you'll get me their badge numbers if I back up?
I'll show you my badge number right now.
Okay.
Okay, there's mine. Well, you move back now, or I'll arrest you.
Okay, and then how do I get their badge numbers?
Remove him. Remove him.
Okay.
Reach of the piece. Take him away.
Right, that little fascist there, by the way, and we should emphasize that amongst the people who you're allied with are former peacekeepers, people who actually did put their life on the line for law and order and civility. Now, I can understand. Look, let's be quite honest. It will be very irritating for someone, in this case a man's name is Jeff Parkinson, to go in there and to ask for badge numbers. But it's our right as citizens to have the badge number of an officer. He was being polite. Even if it's annoying, he was being polite. Now, the officer who said he should be arrested briefly showed the number. You couldn't take it down in that time. He was not breaching the peace in any way. He was irritating a cop. A cop has no right to arrest someone simply because they are irritated. Please explain what happened, sir.
Well, that same officer has arrested one of our other people about a half hour before that event. That same officer ripped down our signs back in January and placed me under arrest. That particular officer, I think, is out of control. Like,
what's his name?
I'm actually not sure. I'm not the best on names. I think the video clearly shows the name when he flashes it.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, but what I'd like to do, sir, before you go on, and you should have had his name, frankly, but I want you to get me his name and his badge number, and we will put that on air, because I'm sick and tired of cops in this country allowing people like native protesters to beat up innocent Canadians, to take the law into their own hands, occupiers, anarchist thugs. Nothing is done, but some guy slightly irritates you, and you just don't want it anymore, so you have him arrested. This is unacceptable.
Well, see, what we've done over the years is every time we go to the police and say, well, you know, this officer did that or this officer did something else, the very first response they say to us, well, do you have his name? So what we've done at every rally is we have our cameraman, Jeff, go down the police line and ask every single officer for his badge number so that later on, if something occurs at the rally, we have the face and the badge number of every officer so we can go back and take a look. And so this was standard procedure that we do every single time. This particular officer, who was angry at us that we would dare walk onto the land that the Ontario government owns, had already ordered that if I took one more step, our entire group would be arrested. Meanwhile, the natives were able to walk back and forth through the police line, constantly threaten me, constantly harass me. And in actual fact, they started pushing Mark Vandemoss around. And this same officer ordered Mark to be handcuffed and put in a paddy wagon.
Now, is Mark not a man who served this country? Have I got the right person? Is he a former peacekeeper?
Yeah, Mark was a peacekeeper in 75. And what's interesting, he got arrested on that Saturday. That was 2 weeks ago. And on Monday, he was honored in Ottawa at the Holocaust Memorial ceremonies, where Harper gave the first speech. Mark was asked to step forward and light the sixth candle. So you're arrested in Caledonia one day, and 2 days later you're in Ottawa being honored. And this is the problem with the OPP.
Right. So let me interrupt you for a moment, because people may be, I don't know if there are any, but people may be new to this. In Caledonia, illegal occupation people have been beaten up. A man is disabled for the rest of his life after he was beaten up by a native thug. They've occupied. The government at a federal and a provincial level is too frightened to intervene. The police, not all, but many of the police have simply turned their backs. Sometimes, literally, they've physically turned their backs on violence occurring. People have been kidnapped, taken away, and yet one man goes like this. And I understand it's annoying, but now, what happened to Jeff Parkinson? Was he actually arrested?
Well, what they do, this is standard procedure. They arrest us all the time. They put Jeff in handcuffs, put him in a paddy wagon. He sat there for over 2 hours in a paddy wagon, and they're not the most comfortable position because your hands are cuffed behind your back. Yeah. And then they took him to jail and put him in jail for a couple hours. It's all meant to be intimidation. Yeah. Now, he will never be charged because, of course, he committed no crime. So the OPP don't have the guts to actually try to lay a charge because they know there's no judge in this country that would respect what the OPP are doing. Mm-hmm. So they come up with this idea, well, what we'll do is we'll arrest you and then release you 4 hours later, and then therefore there's really not a lot you can do in court because we haven't laid any charges. Right.
So now, we have another video to show you, but I will remind you, and I want people to know this, please, and you can do this, we want the badge number of that officer. I assume he has some sort of rank. He seemed to take charge. And we also want his name because you're paid handsomely as police officers to do your job. You're not doing your job. You're being told politically what to do, but you're just obeying orders, aren't you? So you're not enforcing the law in Caledonia, but you are, it seems to me, oppressing and targeting people who have the courage to stand up politically and sometimes physically to the native protesters and be proud Canadians. Before we go, we want to see one more video here because there are some highly sophisticated people. They're not all just thugs and lunatics at Caledonia. There are some highly sophisticated people who are on the side of the protesters. Let's have a look at one of them right now, please.
All property tax goes to the Queen, right?
That's right. To the Vatican. The Queen is only the tax collector. The Queen is only in charge of the military for the tax collection.
You know your stuff, eh?
Maybe we'll just end it there. Gary, as always, a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.